Hello, dear shining stars. Your learning buddy Aprajita is back here with your English textbook, Language Odyssey, Class 8, Knowledge Series, Amit Publishing House. So, children, let's start with a new chapter today, and the chapter is chapter number 7, Tangerine, the Wasp. The Wasp. Have you seen a wasp? What is a wasp? Everybody must have seen. It bites. When it bites, oh my god, what happens? You know it. So एक वास्प देखा है ना, जिसको आप लोग बोलते हैं मधुमक्खी, दूसरी होती है इट्स अ बी, एंड वास्प होता है चुपतैया जिसको बोलते हैं. That is a wasp. It stings. It stings and what happens? आपको पता है. तो चलिए आज हम टैंगरीन द वास्प की स्टोरी पढ़ते हैं. Okay, and about the story, first let's read about the story. क्या है story में? This lesson tells us the story of a wasp named Tangerine who does not like that his food should be used to make marmalades. Marmalades, jams, आप लोग खाते हैं ना? Marmalade बनता है, इसी का marmalade बनता है. जो food इस wasp को सबसे ज़्यादा पसंद है, उसी से marmalade बनाया जाता है. और उसको बिल्कुल पसंद नहीं है कि उसके फूड को कोई भी यूज करे. He goes to the valley to further see what is happening. क्या हो रहा है वैली में, वो जाता है देखने के लिए. To his surprise, he saw a man collecting oranges while sitting on the back of his horse. अब वैली में जब जाता है वो वास्प, तो वो देखता है कि वहां पे एक आदमी अपने हॉर्स के पीठ पे बैठा हुआ ऑरेंजेस तोड़ रहा है. He assumed that he was a general. Then what happens? Let's read the story. अब वास्प को ऑरेंजेस से क्या प्रॉब्लम हुआ? वो ऑरेंजेस तोड़ रहा था वो आदमी, उसको क्यों क्या वो ऑरेंजेस खाता था वो वास्प? तो चलिए इस स्टोरी को पढ़ते हैं, तभी हमें कुछ पता चलेगा. I am very curious to know about the story. So are you? Okay. If you are, then read along with me. One of the most interesting insects in our group was a wasp. The tiny creature seemed highly intelligent and was much given to talking. After he had got used to Dr. Dolittle, he would follow him around the house like a pet, wherever he went. He was given the name Tangerine because marmalade made from tangerine oranges was his favorite food. Okay? अब ये वास्प एक बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग क्रीचर था, और जब से वो डॉक्टर डूलिटिल के यूज टू हो गया था, उसके साथ साथ ही घूमता था. और इसको टैंगरीन नाम क्यों दिया गया था? क्योंकि टैंगरीन जो ऑरेंजेस होते हैं वो यूज होते हैं मार्मलेट्स बनाने, और ये जो ऑरेंजेस है ये इस वास्प का फेवरेट फूड. Tangerine narrated many anecdotes and stories of the insect world to us. अब ये जो टैंगरीन वास्प था ना, इस वास्प ने बहुत सारी इंटरेस्टिंग स्टोरीज भी बताई. One of the favorite was how I won the battle of Bunkeroo. This is how he told it. अब टैंगरीन वास्प ने एक स्टोरी बताई थी, how I won the battle of Bunkeroo. इस स्टोरी को चलिए आज हम पढ़ते हैं. The battlefield of Bunkeroo was situated in a pleasant valley between rolling hills covered with vineyards and olive groves. अब जो battlefield था Bunkeroo का, वो बहुत सुंदर सी वैली में. Many battles have been fought in this historic spot. यहाँ पे बहुत सारे battles लड़े. In the fields and the boles of the olive trees. Boles means the trunk. जो ट्री का ट्रंक होता है उसे बोल्स कहते हैं. तो ऑलिव ट्री के फील्ड में और उसके ट्रंक में राउंड अबाउट देयर वर सेवरल वास्प नेस्ट. अब बहुत सारे वास्प के नेस्ट वहां बने थे. They had always been there, though of course not the same wasps. Yet the tradition and folklore had been handed down from one generation to another. And the thing that we feared and hated most was battles. Yes, battles होते थे तो तब Wasp को बहुत डर लगता. Dear me, how sick we were of wars. Because उस बैटल फील्ड में बहुत बैटल्स लड़े जाते थे और वहीं पे वास्प के नेस्ट भी थे. Yes, indeed, all those wars seemed such a stupid waste. From either end of our beautiful valley, armies would come with cannons and horses and everything. For hours they would shoot off evil-smelling gunpowder, blowing some of the trees right out of the ground by the roots and destroying simply no end of wasp nest. अब इन वास्प को क्यों बुरा लगता था, उन बैटल्स को देखना क्यों नहीं अच्छा लगता था? बिकॉज एक एंड से वैली के आते थे बैटल के लिए, लोग आते थे अपने कैनन्स, अपनी आर्मीज पूरी लेके, हॉर्सेस लेके, और आज एंड आज तक वो गन पाउडर, वो गंदी सी स्मेल आती थी गन पाउडर की, शूटिंग होती रहती थी, और कभी कभी तो ट्रीज बिल्कुल रूट से उखड़ जाते थे और उनमें कितने ही वास्प के नेस्ट भी होते थे. Then, after they had fought for hours, they would go away again, leaving hundreds of dead men and horses on the ground, and it never seemed to settle anything. और जब वो घंटों लड़ने के बाद जब वो वापस जाते थे तो कितने ही वहाँ पे डेड लोग, मरे हुए रहते थे लोग, और हॉर्सेस ग्राउंड पे पड़े थे. Because in a year or two they would be back again for another battle and ruin the landscape some more. अब क्या होता था उस टाइम पे, वहां पे इतने सारे लोग मर जाते थे, उसके बाद थोड़े 1-2 साल बाद फिर से वहां लोग आते थे, आर्मीज आती थी, फिर से लड़ाई. Well, I had never seen any of the battles myself, being a young wasp. अब ये जो वास्प अपनी स्टोरी सुना रहा है, टैंगरीन वास्प ने कहा कि मैं जब यंग हुआ तो मैंने कोई भी ऐसी लड़ाई नहीं देखी, ऐसे वॉर नहीं देखी. बट आई हैड हर्ड अ होल लॉट ऑफ देम फ्रॉम द ओल्डर रिलेटिव्स. अपने जो पुराने रिलेटिव्स हैं, ओल्ड रिलेटिव्स हैं, उनसे उसने स्टोरी सुनी. One evening, one of my uncles came in and said, "Listen, there is going to be another battle." अब एक दिन मेरे अंकल, उस वास्प के अंकल आए और उन्होंने कहा कि एक और बैटल होने वाली है. Well, when I heard this, I was fired with a great ardor to do something. I felt our nest should be defended. अब जब टैंगरीन वास्प ने सुना कि बैटल होने वाला है, उसने सोचा कि अब हमें कुछ करना चाहिए अपने नेस्ट को बचाने के लिए. The next day, I went out to look over the situation. I flew down to the south end of the valley, and there, sure enough, the two armies were digging in their cannons and preparing for battle. अब next day, वो देखने गया और फ्लू डाउन द साउथ एंड, वैली के साउथ एंड पे देखने गया वो वास्प, और वहां उसने देखा कि 2 आर्मीज वो अपने कैनन्स और सब रेडी कर रहे थे वेपन्स. On the following day, early in the morning, we were awakened by a great blowing of bugles and beating of drums. अब बिगल और ड्रम्स बजने की आवाज से नेक्स्ट मॉर्निंग सबकी आंखें. I was hopeful that I might do something on behalf of my fellow wasps, though I had no idea what it could be. अब टैंगरीन वास्प ने सोचा कि कुछ करना चाहिए हमें अपना नेस्ट बचाने के लिए, लेकिन मैं क्या कर सकता हूँ ये मुझे कोई आइडिया नहीं. See, there are so many wasps and this is the wasp nest. About the center of the valley, on one of the hills, was a man on horseback who seemed to be a highly important individual. अब बिल्कुल वैली के बिल्कुल बीच में एक हिल पे एक आदमी हॉर्सबैक पे बैठा हुआ था और वो एक बहुत important person लगा. Messengers were arriving and departing all the time, bringing him news from every quarter. अब कुछ messengers आते थे, उसको कुछ news देके चले जाते. I decided that this must be the famous general Blohardi himself. अब टैंगरीन वास्प ने सोचा कि ये जनरल ब्लोहार्डी होंगे जो कि यहाँ सेंटर ऑफ द वैली हॉर्सबैक पे बैठे हैं. Now, about these names, I'm not very certain. They were names which we wasps gave. We called him Blowhardy because he was blowing so hard through his long red mustache, which puffed out before him when he spoke. ये ब्लोहार्डी जनरल ब्लोहार्डी जो नाम था वो वास्प ने ही दिया। और ये ब्लोहार्डी क्यों बोलते थे? क्योंकि उसकी लॉन्ग रेड जो मुस्टैच थी, जो मूछें थी, वो इतनी पफी थी कि जब वो बोलता था, he used to speak, तो वो ब्लो करती थी। General Blohardy was the field marshal of the Bombastrinian army. Their enemies were the Smitherians, but again, these also may not be the regular names. ये सब वास्प ने ही इन armies के names दिए। I was clear that the general had come up to this high point so that he could get a good view of the fight. अब वास्प थॉट कि ये जो जनरल है ये इस हाई पॉइंट पे इसलिए बैठा है कि जहां से इसको पूरा व्यू दिखे फाइट। ऑल्सो नो डाउट बिकॉज ही वॉन्टेड टू स्टे इन सेफ प्लेस हिमसेल्फ। ये भी हो सकता है कि वो खुद को सेफ रखना चाहिए, इसलिए वो ऊंचे हाई पॉइंट पे आके बैठे। एविडेंटली फ्रॉम द वे ही केप्ट blowing out his mustaches, he expected a very fine battle, one of the messiest. I felt so furious as I watched him there, snapping out his pompous orders, that I was ready to do anything. Now, that wasp, they were very angry. He was very angry. That Tangerine wasp was very angry. जब वो देखता था कि वो जो जनरल था, जनरल ब्लोहार्डी, वो अपने ऑर्डर्स देते रहता था। Yet what could I do? I was such a tiny creature, a mere wasp. एक छोटा सा creature होता है, wasp is very small. Presently, there was a blow of a bugle, followed by the roar of the cannon. Now, जब बैटल शुरू होने वाला था तो बिगल बजता है और एक तोप, कैनन तोप को बोलते हैं। रोर, उसकी कैनन की रोर के साथ बैटल स्टार्ट हुआ। The battle had begun. Now, the whole object of the Battle of Bunkerloo was to gain possession of this valley. इस वैली का पोजीशन किसके पास है? What either army would do with the valley after they got it? I don't imagine either of them would know. उस वैली को कैप्चर करके दोनों में से कोई सी भी आर्मी जिसके पास भी ये वैली जाएगा, वो क्या करेंगे इस वैली? To us, it did not matter at all which side won it, because they would both make a nasty mess in getting it. What we wanted was to stop the battle. अब हमने कहा कि no matter कोई भी आर्मी जीते, हमें कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता। We are not bothered about which army wins, but हम बस ये बैटल स्टॉप करवाना चाहते। As I noticed, the horse moved restlessly at the first roar of the cannon, an idea came to me. अब जैसे ही वास्प ने देखा कि एक कैनन के, एक तोप के गोलक का जब आवाज हुई, उससे सारे हॉर्सेस रेस्टलेसली इधर उधर मूव करने लगे, तो एक आइडिया आया वास्प। It would be no use going and stinging General Blohardy on the nose, though I would dearly have loved to do so. अब वास्प ने सोचा कि जनरल ब्लोहार्डी के नाक पे जाके स्टिंग करने का कोई फायदा नहीं है। हालांकि वास्प चाहता था कि जनरल ब्लोहार्डी के नोज पे जाके स्टिंग करे। He would love to do so, but if I sting his horse, I might possibly accomplish something. लेकिन जनरल ब्लोहार्डी को स्टिंग करने से अच्छा इसके हॉर्स को अगर स्टिंग करने में जाके तो कुछ हो सकता है। Well, no sooner thought than done. I hopped onto the horses behind the general and stung the poor fellow on the flank. The flank is, what is the flank? The side of an animal between the ribs and hips. Ribs and hips के बीच का जो पोर्शन होता है, वहां पे जाके वास्प ने उस हॉर्स के स्टिंग। It was a dirty trick to play on the horse, and I wanted to apologize to him afterwards, but he was much too far away. तो मैं ये चाहता नहीं था उस पुअर हॉर्स को स्टिंग करना, बट आई हैड टू डू दिस, मैं सॉरी बोलना चाहता था उसको, बट वो बहुत दूर था. द रिजल्ट वेर इंस्टेंटेनियस एंड अस्टाउंडिंग. अब इसका रिजल्ट क्या हुआ? बहुत अच्छा रिजल्ट आया. द horses the horse gave one bound and shot up down the hill with me and the general as fast as he could go. जैसे ही स्टिंग किया तो वो हॉर्स बहुत तेजी से माउंटेन से नीचे दौड़ने. By the time the armies were on their way towards the center of the valley, I crawled along the horse's flank and stung him in another place. अब जैसे ही वो नीचे दौड़ने लगा और सेंटर ऑफ द वैली आ गए पूरी आर्मी, तो ये वास्प फिर से जाके उसके दूसरी जगह पे काटे. Then he went further still. When we reached the level in the bottom of the valley where the cavalry were already charging, I stung him a third time. अब जैसे वो बिल्कुल नीचे आ गया, तब third time उस वास्प ने stung him. On and on he went, straight across the flat and up the other slope. वो दौड़ता ही चला. Seeing their famous general in full flight, leaving the battlefield at goodness knows how many miles an hour, the Bombastrians were completely disheartened and demoralized, and they took to their heels. अब अपने जनरल को ऐसे भागता दौड़ता देखे, क्योंकि जनरल तो हॉर्स पे बैठा हुआ था और वो हॉर्स वो वास्प के स्टिंग से इधर उधर दौड़ रहा था. अब जो ये आर्मी थी, जनरल लोहार्डी की जो आर्मी थी, वो कंप्लीटली डिसहार्टन हो गए कि उनका जनरल ऐसे क्या कर रहा है ये. एंड दैट वाज द एंड ऑफ द बैटल. और वो भी वापस चले गए, वो पूरी आर्मी वापस चली गई एंड बैटल एंड हो. द जनरल ऑफ द Smitherians got no end of decorations and honors for the victory of Bunkeroo. अब जो दूसरी आर्मी थी वो बहुत खुश हो गई because that army had left. Bombastrians की आर्मी चली गई थी और Smitherians की आर्मी ने अपनी जीत का जश्न मनाया. They had won the Battle of Bunkeroo, but Tangerine ended modestly. It was, as you see, really I who had won the battle. अब टैंगरीन ने बोला कि ये केवल मैं ही था जिसने बैटल जीती, उन दोनों आर्मीज में से कोई नहीं. नाउ I'd like a little more marmalade, please. अब मुझे थोड़ा सा और marmalade चाहिए. I want a little more marmalade because he loved those tangerine oranges. और ये जीत किसकी थी? This wasp, tangerine wasp की ही जीत. This is written by Lofty. Now, in a nutshell, what we have read here, the interesting story of a wasp named Tangerine. We should not fight unnecessarily. Yes, children, the fights, unnecessary fights, give nothing good to anybody. Okay, so we should not fight unnecessarily. Now, children, testing time. Take the correct options. So, read it carefully and we'll take the correct options. Tangerine's favorite food was orange, marmalade, honey, none of these. His favorite food was marmalade made of oranges. Rolling hills were covered with vineyards, olive groves, both A and B, none of these. They were covered with vineyards and olive groves both. Tangerine hated the dash most. Battles, head, biggles, or none of these. He hated the battles most. Tangerine stung the poor fellow on the nose, head, flank, none of these. He stung the poor fellow on the flank. And now moving further, list all the reasons why did Tangerine disapprove of wars. Tangerine disapproved of wars because the wars never settled out anything. The wars didn't give out any good results, and moreover, the valley, the beautiful valley, was all destroyed. It was messed up by these wars. People came, the armies came, they fought, the evil gunpowder smell was there, and after some time, after 2-3 hours of war, everything was destroyed, and some dead people, some dead horses were left over there, and even some trees on which the wasps had their nests, they were just taken off from the root and the nests were destroyed. So Tangerine disapproved the wars. Now fill in the blanks. It never seemed to dash anything. It never seemed to settle anything. What was never seemed to settle anything? We called him Dash because he kept glowing all the time. We called him General Blowhardy. They called him General Blowhardy. Okay, this was the name given by the wasps to that children. I felt so furious as I watched him there dash out his pompous order, snapping out his pompous order. Fine. The next is I hopped onto the horse behind the general and dashed the poor fellow on the flank. What he did? The wasp stung the poor fellow on his flank. The general of the Smitherians got no end of decoration. He got no end of decoration. Fine, because they had won the battle. Next is write T for true and F for false statements. Tangerine Wasp won the battle of Bunkeroo. Was it so? No, they didn't. They were not able to win the battle of Bunkeroo. The Smitherian Tangerine Wasp won the battle. Oh yes, Tangerine Wasp. They are talking about the Tangerine Wasp. Yes, the Wasp won the battle of Bunkeroo. We felt like that he was the winner of the battle of Bunkeroo because he somehow managed to end the war. Yes, it is true. The battlefield of Bunkeroo was situated in a sandy desert. Was it so? No, it was situated in the valley, the beautiful valley. So this is false. F, right? F. Tangerine felt that his nest should be defended. Yes, true. General Blowhardy was the field marshal of the Smitherian army. No, this is false. Bombasterian army. He was the general of Bombasterian army. Okay, children, the last one. The general of the Smitherians received many honors for victory in the battle. Yes, this is true. And endless decorations and honors on victory. So, now the next one is answer the following questions. Why was the wasp given the name Tangerine? The wasp was given the name Tangerine because the wasp was very fond of the marmalade which was made of tangerine oranges, which were made of the tangerine marmalade. He loved the marmalade very much, which was made of tangerine oranges. Which battle has been narrated in the story? The battle which has been narrated in the story is the Battle of Bunkeroo. So we write here the Battle of Bunkeroo. Okay? Why had the general stood on the high point on the hill? The general had stood on the high point on the hill so that from there he could see the view of the battle nicely and he could give command from there. Why did Tangerine want to apologize to the horse? Tangerine wanted to apologize to the horse because he never wanted to sting that horse, but just to distract the general who was sitting on the horse, he had to sting the horse. So he wanted to apologize the horse for stinging him. Why did Tangerine say that it was he who had won the battle? Tangerine felt like it was only he who had won the battle, because he was the only Wasp who wanted that the battle should not be there. The battle should stop so that he could protect the nest of the Wasp. So when the battle ended, when he won to do that, his trick, he won in the trick which he made to stop the battle, and the battle stopped. He felt that it was he who had won the battle. So children, here we end with the chapter. So I hope you enjoyed the chapter, how this Tangerine Wasp got its name, and how it was able to stop the battle with his wisdom. Okay, he was very smart Wasp. So stay excited and clamped for the next video. I'll be back soon with a new lesson, new chapter for you, something interesting, something very knowledgeable. So children, till then, bye and stay blessed.